Okay, here's the current Physique only training arms and legs. New high weigh-in of 229 pounds at 6'1", holding on to a little bit of extra fluff. Current split: arms, rest, arms, rest, arms, legs. Repeat. Training the arms every second day. Training the legs, resting 5 days, legs again. For the arm training, due to my injuries and limitations, I'm just doing the overhead dumbbell tricep extension. I can only do overhead movements, and we do an hour to an hour and a half of stretching and mobility beforehand. If you're new to the channel, watch the video on the homepage of my channel. We'll explain all the details. Biceps, I can do various standing curls. I prefer the easy bar curl for many reasons for the majority of my sets, although I do some dumbbell hammer curls towards the end of the workout. Brings us to the discussion of how important is exercise variety. If I can build my physique to this level, just doing arms and legs. Legs, we're doing Bulgarian split squats. I can really only do split stance movements. I was doing stationary jumping lunges for a while. Now I've switched to Bulgarian split squat with the elevated back leg, no jumping. Similar movement pattern. That's it for legs. And it's a very restricted amount of exercise variety, although I've still been able to build a substantial amount of muscle. So what I want you guys to consider is the trade-off between higher exercise variety and less focus on your training stimulus. What do I mean by that? The only main benefit of using less exercises is that it allows you to more consistently track and improve your other training parameters, that being your intensity, your volume, your progression in the weights, because the exercise is very consistent. You're removing a lot of the noise so that you can specifically focus on creating a muscle growth producing stimulus within those limited movements. And I think this is the true value of using less exercises. Now, obviously, you're potentially missing out on targeting the different muscles differently. If you were to use more exercises, I'm missing out on that. And although I think there is some value, and perhaps more value for certain body parts where you can use different exercises, for example, your back, a variety of exercises is going to help you to hit the different parts of the back. But the arm muscles are quite simple, the triceps and biceps. Leg muscles, again, if I could do a handful of different movements, that would probably benefit me more. But what I think my progress, my physique shows you is that most people, or most of the information out there, is overstating the value of exercise variety and the role that it plays in stimulating individual muscle growth. When I first started lifting, I didn't have injuries. I wasn't limited. I had, a million different exercises for each of my body parts. I got to hit the arms with this tricep push down, and then an overhead movement, and then a close grip bench press movement for the lateral head, etc., etc. And I think what I would like you to take from my example is that is, I believe, most largely overstated in terms of the actual direct benefit to muscle growth that produces. And I'm not saying that you should do as limited of a number of exercises as I am. But the take-home message for you to digest and assess and apply to your own training is, could I reduce the number of exercises so that I'm more consistent with my intensity, my progressive overload, my volume, and the way that I escalate the stimulus on my muscle over time, because I'm in a more constrained corridor where the amount of distractions reduces, and it almost forces you to look more critically at how can I increase my intensity to produce more growth? How can I increase the reps and weight, increase my rate of progressive overload to get more growth? How can I potentially increase my volume to get more growth? When you cut the fat of having additional exercises, it forces you to focus more on the meat and potatoes of what actually stimulates growth. That's what my opinion is. And I think my physique and my training, as an example, does prove that to a degree. And so for a lot of you out there, think about this with your own training and assess, maybe I can just do a handful of movements for a few months and really focus on progressing them, and really focus on my intensity, and really focus on adding a little more volume, the nitty-gritty stuff that isn't sexy, that doesn't satiate your ADHD mind for a new exercise every week. Maybe less sexy, maybe a little more boring. However, you're honing your skill for stimulating muscle growth in your own body. Still can experiment with different movements, could have a few more movements than I'm doing, but I urge you to consider not getting too consumed in exercise variety. I believe it's more how you do the movement rather than which movement to do. Food for thought. I don't have the best physique in the world. I'm not stating this is some revolutionary thing, but if I can build my arms and my legs with just a handful of movements, channeling all of my energy into intensity, finding ways to progress the weight over time, being consistent, avoiding injury, and then adjusting volume and frequency within those handful of movements to continuously challenge my body to respond with more muscle growth, then I think it's at least a decent example to consider how you could potentially apply that knowledge to your own training. So thanks for watching. And if you're interested in growing your arms, I have an arm program that is linked in the description that will help you, give you some guidance, a lot of the different things I've experimented with in order to grow my arms up to almost 19 inches now, right on the cusp of hitting those 19-inch pipe daddies. And I started out with 13-inch arms as a regular skinny teenager, started training at 18 years old. And it's been a long, arduous, slow process of growing the arms. If you are interested in some of my insights, the course could help you to add more girth to your arms. Thanks for watching. Subscribe if you enjoyed the video. Leave a comment if you have any questions. And have a great freaking day. Go make some gains. Peace.